Welcome back to RGR. It's not our weekend to have a game, but it's a lot of teams' weekend for a game, and we're going to go over this wild card matchup by matchup and matchup and match. It's like there's so many matchups this year. It's really a little bit different. This is Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click the like and the sub and the bell notification so you know what comes next. Because even though the Chiefs aren't playing, we are an NFL channel as well. We try to do that from time to time anyway. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing good. I like having that extra game. I know that it sucks for the second seed because you don't get that bye you're used to getting, but it's kind of fun because now you get 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday. It's kind of nice to round it off that way. And eventually we're going to get, more teams in the playoffs anyway. So
right. We'll talk about the 18-game season or field and whatnot. And there's plenty coming.
It's coming.
But this is kind of unique because we can just kind of kick back and relax. I'm drinking waist deep a winter ale from Ben Brewing tonight. So for all of you that are joining us, whether it's maybe if it's not 8 a.m., but we're trying to get this out before the games start on wildcard weekend. So maybe take a little bit easy, but consider later. You got anything working?
I just got a nice little Blue Moon, but this is an iced coffee blonde.
Oh, I like coffee. I like ice. And blondes
it's actually pretty good.
I'm glad to hear it. So when we look at it, we'll just go in order if that's cool with you, unless you have something you want to hit right off the top.
No, order works perfectly for me because I'm going to watch them all in order anyway.
Right, as are the rest of us. So I think the order actually plays into what we as Chiefs media, but the team itself really needs, and that is that they have the possibility of this first game, if it goes in a certain way, that would be their opponent. And it comes down, it's Indianapolis at Buffalo. I think the at's going to be really important. I'm sure we'll get into that. But with an Indy win, that would be the Chiefs' opponent. Knowing that at least from what I remember, depending on who's interviewed where, there's a good 25-30% of those people have worked in Kansas City and not outside of Chris Ballard. So I think that's really intriguing.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I think that when you really look at the matchups for this game, there's 2 things you want to do for the defenses. There's 2 things you want to stop. You got to stop Indy from running the football, and you got to stop the Bills from throwing the football. Phillip Rivers in cold is exactly what he's always been, not very good. And if you're the Bills, the one thing you want to do is make him throw the football in the cold. It's going to be like 20 degrees in Buffalo at game time. Like, it's not going to be easy for him to throw the football. He's not in a dome. He's not in San Diego anymore or LA. So, I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to stop Jonathan Taylor. You want to load the box and make him throw outside the numbers because that's how you force the Colts to be very one-dimensional and know that it's the matchup that you want.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm really intrigued. I agree with everything you said. I will put this caution out there. As good as Indy's defense has been, I do feel like Allen can take advantage of that concept. If you're going to force him to throw, I think he will turn the wheels on, loosen himself up a little bit so that he does have room to throw. And I think Diggs is a guy that can, and nothing against any of their other pass catchers. Was it McKenzie that went off for a couple of tough scores last week?
Yeah.
Nothing against them. But in terms of like ad-libbing with your quarterback, it feels like Diggs and Allen are like in sync. So that's something, I want to stir the hornet's nest a little bit. But you're absolutely right about Rivers. And I think that at the end of the day, I think the defense and the run game we saw, and I know it's been a while and everybody's going to yell at me for this, but we saw what the Chiefs were able to do running the ball on Buffalo. So let's not forget that. That's still there. It might be dormant, but it's still there.
Well, yeah, they didn't have their 2 top linebackers.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. That's what I'm saying. It's dormant, but it's there. Well, you also have Quentin Nelson go crush 2 of them, so I'm not that worried about that part of it. You know what I mean?
But they're also missing an offensive lineman or 2. I think they're missing both their tackles. If not, at least I know they're missing at least one of them. They might be on both. It's not looking great for their offensive line, and they just ran over the Jacksonville Jaguars last week because that's who they are.
I think that's what it comes down to. I'm interested to see what you think of this. I'm not going to take the Colts, but I think this is going to be a lot closer than most analysts think. I will take the Bills.
Oh, I think it's going to be an absolute blowout unless the Colts do what the Chiefs have seen this year on defense in terms of defenses playing against their offense. The only thing they really have a chance to do is do what the Patriots did, is drop a lot of guys into coverage and force Allen to not only sit in the pocket, but you need to get pressure on him while being able to drop 7, 8 into coverage. I think that's how you're going to be able to beat the Bills or even come close to beating the Bills. Because if you just play your normal defense, Josh Allen has shown that he's going to beat you. And they put up the last 4 games over 40 points a game by defenses playing what they do. So I think that you have to start changing things up and start treating him like a world beater and like in essence, like a Patrick Mahomes, because he's putting up numbers like that. So you have to treat him as a guy who's going to pick you apart if you don't do something different. So I think that's what they have to do and force the Bills to run the football.
Well, and world beater is the right term. That's what he is. It's not mince words. That's what he is. Yeah. So that said, you have to do what you can do. And the only thing that I worry about is the stage. Not a lot of guys on that roster now have been into the playoffs. So that's something. It's also the same case for the Rams. They're going to take on the Seahawks. And for them, we've seen them kind of fall apart under some pressure. And nothing against Worley or Witness or whatever his name is, Witness Protection Quarterback. Wolford, sorry. Thrust into that. If Goff can't play, and we know it's iffy and they're going to keep it right up to game time as a big question mark. For me, it comes down to, though, like, Cam Akers probably going to be the lead back?
Yeah, he's practicing full. So
can those 2 guys in particular keep the ball away from Russ and DK enough?
So here's something interesting: that the Seattle Seahawks offense has been actually pretty bad the last month, and DK Metcalf has not caught a pass over 20 yards in the last month. He's going up against Jalen Ramsey, who he has not had good success against. I think he's going to have a game against Jalen Ramsey, who actually is going to take his game up for the playoffs. This is a game he comes to play for. I don't know if – I would imagine Jamal Adams plays for the Seahawks. He's been questionable at practice all week, but I imagine he's going to play. It's his first sniff of playoff football, so he's going to come and play, I think.
Sorry, Gang Green, but yeah.
Yeah, he's going to play. So this is an interesting matchup. I actually think that the Rams offense has more potential with Wolford as their quarterback. Because he's a guy that has legs and he can do things off script. And we've seen Jared Goff. We've seen multiple years of Jared Goff. He can't do that. He is not fleet of foot. He can't really do much outside the pocket. He has to work with a play action game, with a run game inside the pocket. He doesn't do things off script very well. But Wolford can do that. He can make some runs. He can make some outside the pocket plays that just the Goff can't do. Now, I think that if you get Goff back, that's probably your best chance to win a close game. But if you want your offense, the Rams offense functioning at peak efficiency, I think Wolford might be your best shot. It's going to be weird to see what happens there. But I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring affair at all. I think both defenses are playing very well. And unless Seattle's offense has gotten an ejection of speed that they didn't have and just clicking on all cylinders, I think it's going to be a low-scoring 20-ish score game. It's going to be a lot of defensive battle. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm glad where you're going because the Seattle defense has been a story all season, right? But you're right. They've been coming on. As much as we've seen the offense fade, we've seen the defense really pick it up. Do you think it's enough? Because at the end of the day, I'm just not sure. I think they will win this game. I will take Seattle. I think it's going to be tight, like you said. What do you think actually happens?
Yeah, I think Seattle's going to win. Russell Wilson is, regardless of the quarterback that plays for the Rams, he's the better quarterback, and he's the most experienced quarterback. He's already won a Super Bowl, been to another Super Bowl, been to multiple playoffs. So I think he's got the edge here. And I think that with their defense playing as it has been, unless the Rams just come out like firing on all cylinders like their offense hasn't done most of the season, I don't think they stand a chance. I do believe that Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf will get it going. They're going to find some big plays, especially because I think DK is going to have to decaf. That's actually pretty funny. So, he's going to have to find a way to play against Jalen Ramsey. You play in the division, you're going to play him multiple times a year. Now this is their third meeting. I want to see what happens there. Yeah,
I'm interested to see if DK starts to come back on him a little bit. There's enough strength there. I think if he embraces the physical game, he might have a shot. But the physicality is what you have to look for in the last game on Saturday as well. And it is Tampa Bay and what has been a physical defense at times against Alex Smith and the offense that I think has been really the reverse. And they've gone through so much with Ron Rivera and Alex getting wet at Dwayne. I mean, there's so much out there. Do you think they have the weapons to even try to compete?
Washington? No, their defense is what's going to be what competes in this game, and I think they're going to have to score a touchdown, possibly more on defense to keep with the Bucs. Just because the way that I see this game happening, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be another lower scoring game. Tom Brady is two different quarterbacks. When you hit him, he's not a good quarterback. He's not good at all. We saw it against the Saints. We've seen it multiple times this year. And when you can get to him and make pressure, that it just takes him out of what he's comfortable with. And that's just not what he is anymore. He's 43 years old. You start hitting 43-year-olds, you're going to find some interceptions, some fumbles, some probably touchdowns there. So unfortunately, Alex Smith is not the most athletic quarterback on the field, considering coming off his leg injury. So that's it's really hard to watch him play for the Washington Footballs because their offensive line's not very good.
The Footballs, I like that. It does help to have two wheels instead of one. I mean, and it's funny because ever since, for those of you who remember, or if you want to go check the channel, I talked to Stefania Bell about Alex when that Project 11 first came out, and it's really heartening to see how far he's come back. But he still does have that plantar lift that's going on underneath his foot to keep his toes up. I mean, you can't see him scramble that much. He's relying on McKissick a lot. I think McLaurin might be able to raise his game. I think he's a guy that I would trust to try to do that. I don't know if he can, but I'm going to go out on a limb because I think Chase Young set it up. I think he's a little bit like gun shy now that, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but hey, you did, brother. And I think he's going to have to live up to it. I think he will. I'm going to take the upset. I will take the Footballers to get a 2-point win, maybe. I don't know.
It's going to be something like that. The one thing I'm looking forward to watching this game is Tristan Wharfs versus Chase Young. Chase Young's pass rush plan still has not been fully developed. I know he wins with a lot of raw strength and speed, but Wharfs is another animal. He's an all-pro tackle, and he's been nothing short of that all season. That's a matchup I'm looking forward to. And if he can take advantage of being as comfortable as he's been in pass protection, I don't think that the football stand a chance. I think that they're going to have to do something otherworldly to beat the Bucs. And I took Washington to win this game. I think it's going to be like a 2-3 score game, 3-point game, excuse me, not score game. The only way that would be completely different.
Thought you lost it there.
Yeah. So the only thing that I think that they're going to have to find a way to do is the Footballs have to push the ball down the field, because we've seen that the Bucs secondary is not that great. Their front sevens where they get all of it done, and their back end has not been very good. So if you can find a way to get McLaurin free back there, and some of their other guys, Logan Thomas is going to have to be a big part of that. So I do see them winning a 2-3 point game. It's going to be close, and I hope it's going to be a lot of fun, because these two Saturday matchups between the Rams and the Seahawks and the Footballs and the Bucs, there should be physical defensive matchups. Should be a lot of fun.
I agree. And so that's Saturday. So now we flip over to Sunday, and obviously the one that I think I'm looking most forward to is the first one. The interesting thing is that there's a lot of beat 'em up games on Sunday.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 I think are going to be really, really physical. And this first one, Ravens, who've kind of put it back together and gotten back to basics, starting to run the ball a little bit more. And the Titans that are the Titans that 253 last week for Henry.
Yeah.
We've seen them use the play action. It's Ryan Tannehill's best friend. At the end of the day, I said it on the show the other day. I think Tannehill's got a big play in him with his legs. We've seen him do it from time to time. I think it's going to be required for this one. And I think he will pull it off. And overall, I just want them to beat the snot out of each other, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that's what you can hope for Chiefs fans. You don't want to see them go to toe-to-toe, low scoring, just continuously battling to try to run the football and hit each other as much as you possibly can. And then they got nothing left in the tank going forward. But I do think that both these teams are built to do that in the playoffs and still be able to win games. Now, what it's really going to come down to is Lamar Jackson. It's his 3rd straight year in the playoffs. He's been one and done both times. Now, this is where good quarterbacks and great quarterbacks make their mark. You have to come out and you actually have to win a playoff game. You have to take everything that's happened and you have to start throwing the football down the field. Mm-hmm. I know he's done a little bit more of that in terms of the last couple of games, but they're still not accumulating 300, 400-yard games because they're just not built to do that. And that's partly how the way the offense is constructed. It's also partly how the way it's run. They don't typically do a lot of chucking the ball down the field. Des Bryant's back on their team as like an actual option. So that tells you exactly what their passing offense is for. It's not built to do that. So I like the Titans a lot, actually. I think they're a very good offense. Their defense is absolutely atrocious. It's literally the worst in the league. What do you think the Baltimore Ravens are going to do to that?
Yeah, I mean, Clowney might have as many pressures this year as I do. I can't remember. I'd have to go look at
that anymore.
That's my whole point. Like, you spend all that money, and this is what you got out of it. And I've been waiting patiently for Hollywood Brown to make his, rise. I just don't think that it comes in the playoffs because of again being young, being in the playoffs, and pressure that comes along with that. Not that it's the Titans that force that, but at the end of the day, I think Henry and in particular Tannehill will play action to AJ Brown, who I think is incredible. I'll still take AJ Brown over DK. I think they got the better of the teammates, but I'm going to take the Titans.
Yeah, I'll take them too. I actually think that they're going to blow out the Ravens. I don't think that Lamar really can. We've said you don't think he can stretch the ball down the field, and if you get behind in this game, we've seen both quarterbacks do exactly that. I think that Ryan Tannehill is better suited to come back against the Ravens than Lamar Jackson is to come back against the Titans.
I'm with you. That takes us to Saints versus Bears in the Dome. This is the biggest disparity, I think, on the board in terms of record. No, it's the Washington game.
Yeah.
But this is still pretty disparate. And I will say this, we don't have to spend a lot of time unless you got a lot to say about it. My mom was a Bears fan. I'm going to be an idiot and take them just for her. Love you, Mom. And that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, okay. Well, this isn't – I think it's actually an interesting game. So this is where Mitch Trubisky can make himself a ton of money. He can make it all right now. The Saints defense is one of the best in the NFL. The Bears' offense has found a little bit more life with him back under center. They have some really good weapons on the outside. We all know Allen Robinson, but Darnell Mooney is a guy not a lot of you probably know about, but he's a very fast wide receiver out of Tulane. He does a lot of very good things with his route running. He's actually one of the only receivers to not have a drop in the entire league this year. So he's a guy that I like being able to go up and actually do some things. But we all know that Mitch Trubisky is who he is. The Bears are just not that good. We all knew it going into the season when they started out 5-0 or whatever it was. They came back down to earth. So, Drew Brees is Drew Brees, and he's playing in a dome, so he'll be just fine.
Yeah, he will. I did that for Mom. I still expect Brees to make probably the Super Bowl. If somebody can do something against the Packers, which I think is still a possibility, I'm not giving them that they're just going to roll. So we'll talk about that next week once we see them on the field in the postseason. And that brings us to the last game that may or may not get played at this point.
Yeah, maybe not Sunday.
There's like 3 healthy dudes in Cleveland. The specialists are good, right? We'll just line up in 6 dudes deep in a straight eye and run at everyone. It'll be great.
On the football,
yeah. So it comes down to if they can put a team on the field. We don't know exactly who it's going to be and whatnot. And I think at the end of the day, the key for this is that one of the guys that I don't think is going to be able to play, at least as it stands right now, as we record this 2 days before, is Joel Bitonio. And normally I would say prior to all this that Cleveland had a chance if they leaned on Chubb, they leaned into Hunt in the run game, but that's all dependent on Bitonio. Nothing against the other linemen, they're fine, but even a small hole of that caliber in that line, I think really detracts from what you can do on the ground. So I don't think there's any way that they can compete at this point.
No, it's tough. It's a really tough spot, and we're gonna see what the NFL decides to do because this is a chance for them to kind of almost do the right thing. I know a lot of teams have gotten screwed over with this COVID thing going throughout the season, but the Browns finally have something in Cleveland, and I think that the Browns have a product that you want to see on the national stage. And for as much as we've, diminished the Browns and made them a laughingstock of the NFL, they got the quarterback right for their system. They got the coach right, and I think that's what we've seen. And unfortunately, Stefanski's not going to be able to coach in this game. That's the worst part about the whole thing. And that's really what it comes down to for me. You got to have a brand new coach come out there to call a game with someone who's done it the whole season. And I don't think Baker Mayfield can win a shootout which it might come down to because their defense is so bad.
Well, and from what I understand is that he can be on video calls right up until kickoff. So he can go through warm-ups virtually, whatever, and like give input, whatever. And so if you take that 15-play script and you take it out to 45 plays, at least you have chunks that you can try to run that he's kind of set parameters for. I don't think that works either, but more power to him. I actually am in favor, like you said, to do the right thing and play this as close to an even way as you can, because this is a playoffs game. So I say bump it back to Monday night.
I agree.
Okay, so we're on the same page. That said, do you think that helps them, or is it just Pittsburgh?
If it allows them to get some of their players back, I think it helps them immensely, because I actually think that at full strength, this is a great matchup for both teams. The Steelers can't push the ball down the field very much, and you can do enough with the run game for the Browns to keep not keep them on the sideline, because we all know that doesn't really work. But for Ben Roethlisberger, who's going to go 3 and out quite a few times, it might actually benefit them a little bit. So if they can get their offensive linemen to be able to run the football with Chubb, I think they have a great chance, because that helps Baker with his play action, which is how they've made this offense run so far in this entire season. So if they do, and if there's something comes back, more negatives or more positives come in, and then they finally push it to Monday, which they should do because it's a playoff game. You want the best product on the field, especially for a Sunday night game. Why would you want to put nothing on a Sunday night game? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So hopefully they do that. If not, it's going to be a complete blowout, and I'm not even going to watch it very much.
I agree with you. If they do get them back and Stefanski can come back and call the game as well, I think that evens it up pretty well, because on the other side, I don't know that Ben is going to be full on Ben. If he comes back and he starts making mistakes like we've seen him make at times during the season, I think it comes down to him and Claypool trying to stretch the field. If they can't do that, we know they can't run. Yeah. I think that's really what it sets up to be. So that's where I'm at. So, folks, let us know what you think. Who do you think is going to win? I am taking Pittsburgh, but it is what it is. Leave your comments below. Give us your predictions. I know this is early, not like us on a Saturday morning, but we had a little bit of a hiccup this week. That's the way that it goes. So we'll be back to normal next week when the Chiefs are actually going to be on the docket. So thanks for the time tonight, Dan.
Thank you. I will take the Browns on a Monday if they do play on Monday. I'll take them on that game.
I like it. All right. And well done with the hiccups and everything else. We appreciate all the time, folks. Thanks for watching us. Enjoy WildCard Weekend. We'll check back with you afterwards. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.